When it was noon on Calvary, deep darkness suddenly fell over the land that lasted for several hours. Violent earthquakes shook the land. Grief as the 4-inch thick veil in the temple was ripped from 30 feet high, top to bottom. Yet this veil was just a small metaphor compared to the body of our Redeemer that was torn from limb to limb. This was literally an eternal crevice in time as Jesus released his spirit through the cross, bringing eternal redemption for his fallen creature from the portals in his hands. The agony of our Lord was borne alone as his Father looked away for the first time in eternity as Jesus was separated for our sin. He then cried out, "It is finished," testifying the curse of death was broken as the prince of this world raged from his defeat. But the greatest gift of all was the beautiful Comforter, being released to transform us into his image by picking up our cross and following him. As they were nailing his hands and feet to the cross, Jesus cried out, "Father, forgive them, for they do not understand." The depth of this statement was only overwhelmed by the ignorance of those that witnessed Jesus become our sin for us. While the blood of the greatest sacrifice began to flow, the eternal passion of God shifted from heaven to earth. After hours of agony, at the peak of his pain, the Lord cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Even the centurion that had brutally participated in his journey to the cross was terrified as the blood from Christ's side sprayed him, as he understood, surely he was the Son of God. By his life of perfect obedience to the Father and his death on the cross, he had just torn the veil between heaven and earth. The veil in the temple was not just torn, but the old covenant was shredded in the hands of Israel's rejected Messiah that tried to awaken them from their apostasy. Jesus had tried to start their hearts of hypocrisy with the 7 woes, exposing they had shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. In the book of Acts, the disciples asked Jesus a final question before his ascension, saying, "Lord, will you at this time restore the kingdom to Israel?" They had no idea that Israel was to eventually be cast into the scattering of the diaspora for centuries, and that their temple would be destroyed. The worst was, his disciples had also no idea that Israel would soon come for them with the same intense hatred as it cost them everything through martyrdom. The Apostle Paul had warned the church that the veil over Israel since the time of Moses had remained in their blindness for their Redeemer. Later, the Apostle Paul had to warn the church in Thessalonica an encompassing veil of apostasy would engulf the nominal church before his at the rapture and the valley of decision. Instead of Israel's tired and boring theologians with controlling ritual, the early church taught incredible truths that were written in their blood, that were enlivening that unregenerate world. Ironically, the book of Acts continues to be written today, but has it returned to where Jesus had to braid a whip to chase out a new clan of merchandisers? Recently, I was visiting a nominal church covering the last chapter of the book of Acts, when the pastor said, "Look out here before you. This is chapter 29. I was heartbroken because it was the fulfillment of prophecy from the 2nd chapter of the book of Thessalonians that I had no clue. may the Lord help us to leave the prodigal four walls and rescue the remnant that are forced to sow among the thorns.